Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Brutz, and I am the Transportation Program Director for the North Carolina Clean Energy Technology Center. I am here to welcome you here today to our first Sustainable Fleet Technology webinar series of for 2024. And we're kicking it off with best practices from Green Garage winners. This webinar series is a partnership between the North Carolina Clean Energy Technology Center and NAFA, and we certainly hope that you join us for some of our future webinars as well. Let's see, doesn't seem to be advancing. Okay, there we go. Just wanted to thank our sponsors for all of their support. Without them, it would not be possible for us to do this. So all of these webinars are free. You can see the list of some of the upcoming dates that we have scheduled. Did want to go and let you know that our next webinar on April 10th is going to be about hydrogen. And you can see the URL there where you can register. I encourage everyone to attend the NAFA 2024 Institute and Expo. I've attended NAFA I&E multiple times in the past. It is a wonderful event, great content, really great networking opportunities. Highly encourage everyone to attend. And that is coming up April 22nd through 24th in San Antonio, Texas. Another conference that we would like to encourage you to attend is the Sustainable Fleet Technology Conference. So that'll be August 13th through 15th at the Durham Convention Center in Durham, North Carolina. NAFA will be running a Sustainable Fleet Manager training on the first day, the pre-conference day, on August 13th. The full conference will be August 14th through 15th. You can register now at the URLs shown. Now we're going to turn it over to a word from one of our sponsors. So Karen Coble-Edwards from the United Soybean Board. We'd like to welcome you to let us know a little bit more about what you do.
Thanks so much to NAFA and the North Carolina Clean Energy Center. And two things that I hope to do today is share how we're going to be at NAFA. And importantly, how we're already working with some of your peers who are fleet leaders, and in particular, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and Al Curtis down there in Cobb County, Georgia, on their fleet. And we want to help you protect your employees as well as reduce your dependence on petroleum and carbon emissions. Next step. And we're going to fly through a lot of slides here. I don't represent any company. My bosses are the 515,000 U.S. soybean growers who their states are shown. And every time they sell a bushel of soybeans, they contribute to research, education, and promotion. That's how we've been able to partner with a lot of the companies that I'm going to tell you about that have now transitioned from petroleum and harsh chemicals into their products. Next slide. And this is just a few of the folks that we've been working with. And next slide, I'll tell you more. Importantly, at NAFA, you will find that the United Soybean Board is partnering with the American Lung Association to exhibit because we have had, just appreciate the wonderful response from across the country. Many fleets like New York and others helped us develop the Bio-Based Academy, an online training program for fleets. And there is no cost if you use the USB 23 passcode. And now we are pleased to announce that many fleets, as well as their government entities, have been very interested in how do I improve the sustainable profile of my facilities and my properties, my buildings, my parking lots. And so at Build New York, we launched a partnership with the Bio-Based Academy for those. It's another online 4-hour training. If your employees take this, they can get a certification from the American Lung Association, and hope that you'll stop by the booth to learn how others have done that. Next slide. And of course, there's soybiobase.org is our website. We also have some bio-based coaches who can help your fleets as you look at the options, such as what you see here with from hydraulic fluids to penetrants and lubricants. And just want to stress that these can often be better for your employees. I'm based here in Washington, D.C., and that's been a big driver for some of the fleets here to want to try these products. Next slide. I think many of you have already started rolling on the soy tires. Goodyear partnered with the farmers, and as a result, they now displace 60% of the petroleum in their entire tires, 100% of the petroleum in their tread, and they continue to partner with us. I was just with Goodyear because they're doing additional research in partnership with the farmers to find even more ways to get petroleum and chemicals out of their products. Next slide. We're very excited, and Mahant Joshi up there in Madison, Wisconsin is a prime example of not only has their fleet rolling on the tires, but is wearing the Skechers shoes that have the same Goodyear tread. There's over 122 of those, including work boots that can fit for fleets. Next slide. And I just want to fly through these slides because it's a prime example. Our work with Al Curtis. I have just returned from Georgia, where we were at the plant of the company that makes this in Georgia. And a lot of fleets are looking at their sustainable operations. And this is actually, Al had his colleagues from both the Sheriff's Department and the Parks and Rec come up and join us, as well as importantly, their fire department, because I don't know if you've heard about all the forever chemicals that is in firefighting foams, but we have news to come about a solution for that. So firefighters are not exposed to those petroleum, the PFAS and fluorines. Next slide. Here's an example of doormats can actually keep the indoor of your building. This is the Pentagon that has kept these. You keep a lot of pollutants out if you put heavy doormats down to keep that from entering your buildings. Next slide. Formaldehyde-free cabinetry. A lot of people don't think about the formaldehyde that can be used as a glue inside wood products. And in fact, the soybean farmers are partnering with a lot more research in that space so that you can surround your employees, and happy to follow up if you need connections for this. Next slide. Similarly, this one's really cool. You can make flooring and furniture out of hemp, and it too is glued together. And the picture you see there is an OMG Airbnb in Kansas that was converted from a missile silo. But this was a big hit at Build New York. And obviously those nice hardwood floors can be used in your fleet operations too. Next slide. Spray insulation. That is obviously with a lot of effort to get buildings to be more energy efficient. We have soy inside that option, and here's some examples from New York. Next slide. A lot of people need to start thinking about the paints that are going around their facilities. Those paints that go to storm drains can actually have harmful chemicals getting into the water supply. And this is an example from Alaska of a soy-based paint. Next slide. Concrete. I know you have a lot of concrete assets. This product can extend the life of them. And you can, it's called Pore Shield, and you can spray it on both horizontal and vertical facilities to make your concrete last longer. It was actually developed because the state of Indiana said our concrete highways are breaking down too quickly. Next slide. And we have a way to increase the amount of reclaimed asphalt going back into the parking lots. If you've ever seen these mountains of reclaimed asphalt that they've taken up in road construction, this can actually be used in your parking lots and more. And we have a partnership with Iowa State Soy to do that. Next slide. And I'll just conclude by saying, if any of this interests you, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to sort of mentor you along or connect you to somebody who's already succeeded with using products that are of interest to you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Karen. We really appreciate it. I'm now going to turn over the webinar to Rick Sapienza, who will be the moderator for the remainder of the webinar. Thank you, Rick.
Great, thank you, Heather. Like Heather said, this is the best practices of the Green Garage Award winners for 2023. And the contest is one of a family of contests that NAFA has. The 100 best fleets being the originator. Then we went to the Green Garage and the Green Fleet Awards. I encourage fleets out there to participate in these. There's a tremendous benefit to it. You learn a lot about your operation just by filling out the application. We've had a number of folks say that it's like having a consultant come in. So, you know, it takes you, has to take a look at your operations and identify our opportunities of things out there. And then the reason we do these contests, one is recognizing these fleets that are leading the charge in sustainability, embracing technology, integrated into their operations, as well as to let other folks know what's available out there and encourage them to do the same. And you know, one of the reasons I had the United Soybean Board on today is in these applications for the Green Garage, there are a number of folks that are using bio-based cleaners and lubricants, and I thought this was a great fit. And Karen, thank you. A whole lot more out there than I even thought there was. I maybe had about half of what you presented in my mind as products that could be used. But we'll move into who our speakers. We already had Karen spoke with the United Soybean Board. Courtney Bozick with Clean Fuels Consulting. She is the lead judge for both the Green Garage and the Green Fleet Award. She's been involved with the 100 best fleets in the awards for quite a while. And she is the principal at Clean Fuels Consulting. She's going to talk about the contest itself. And then we have 3 fleets. Chris Marcus from Cobb County, he's a fleet maintenance supervisor, truck and heavy equipment shop. Ivan Ortega with Long Beach, the fleet's services supervisor. Chris Melton, deputy director of fleet services, general services agency at County Ventura. And you know, these 3 fleets have been on all our winners lists somewhere for a number of years. And this isn't by accident. It takes, you know, support from above, buy-in from your employees across the board and participate. They're building a culture, and it's showing the success. You know, they have their goals, they have their plans, policies and procedures to support it, et cetera. I mean, I'm happy to have them here today, and I'm gonna let them go from there. Next, please. Real quick, just I am in a new role. I moved over to Wake Tech Community College. I am the Dean of Transportation Technologies and the Director at the Hendricks Center for Automotive Excellence. Be more than happy if anybody comes to town a tour. It is a fairly new 100,000 square foot facility that will knock your socks off. But I do want to just give my contact information. I am still here as a resource and will help in any way that I can. So next slide. And we're going to hand it over to Courtney to talk about some of the observations from what we saw the fleet submit this year. Courtney?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Rick, and good luck on your new job. And I want to extend my thanks to NAFA, NC State, and our sponsors who provide the platform to make this contest a reality. I'm going to channel Tom Johnson for a minute and say, I feel like we have a superstar lineup for this webinar. Rick, you signed off, but I don't know how many attendees. I can't see how many attendees are on, but thank you so much for sitting in. And all the panelists that we have today, I mean, they're really, really good. And you saw how good Karen is. It's fascinating. And I can't wait to become bio-based certified. It's a fantastic feather to add to one's cap. So I was asked to talk about the contest from a nuts and bolts perspective. So it's really from the whole judging panel. I think that it's fair that they would allow me to speak for them. So of course, you're very lucky to have 2 judges today, Rick and myself. And we want to extend thanks to our colleague, Kathy Wellick, who is the former fleet manager from Iowa State. So moving along. Thanks. Yeah, I always like to talk about tips for success. We really want you to do well on these contests. It's about sharing, it's about best practices, it's about networking. And that's why NAFA has been such an important partner with the 100 Best Fleets. It's expanded our reach so much. So we want you to do well. So these are my tips, and I had gone over this with Rick and our former judge, Gary Lynch, who is the fleet manager of Eugene, Oregon Board of Power and Water. So number one, this seems a little silly, but staying on point. This is SAT time. You may have children or grandchildren taking the SAT. Read the question carefully and answer it. I'm not kidding around. A lot of people do not do this. They do not answer the question. We can't give you the points if you don't answer the question we're asking. Now, this is something, get input from the group. This is something I learned this year from the Green Fleet Contest, because some of the people who had really moved up did this. They did like a little meeting and they did a whiteboard session, and they were amazed at what some people have forgotten and other people remembered. So, you know, it doesn't have to be a big extensive thing. It's just an idea sharing to get all the information in one place. So this goes for the Green Garage Contest and the Green Fleet Contest. This whiteboard session is going to help you immensely. Tell an interesting but succinct story. We're back to SAT words: succinct, short, pointed, informative. Don't be repetitive. Don't be wordy. Sometimes we'll have two full questions that, like, it's almost the exact same answer, if not the exact same answer. You have to tell us all about what you're doing. We're going to go into this in a little more detail on the next slide. Tell us a good story. We're really interested. If we weren't, we wouldn't do this. We're all volunteers, so we love it. Also important, don't leave blanks. Do not leave blanks. Very bad idea. I keep saying this, and sometimes people listen and sometimes they don't. If you don't have an answer, it's fine. Just say, you know, like a little sentence of why, right? Maybe you didn't do something, maybe you couldn't do something. Just explain it. Blanks, we can't help you. If you leave a blank, we can't give you any points for that question. And of course, this was Gary's big thing: quality results. Don't say you're a leading green garage. Give facts and figures to back up those accomplishments. And again, tell an interesting story and use all the questions to get your highlights across. So Heather asked me to break down the contest by section. So I'm just going to go over these sections. General, right? You know what you do, but we don't know what you do. So this is an exercise in explaining, like, this is part of painting the picture. Tell us what you do so we understand your fleet and operations. And you can put some stats, like, you know, how many maintenance garages you have if there's more than one, number of employees, number of vehicles, you know, like the basic thing here. Okay, number two, this is the most important part: maintenance shop practices. People constantly do it wrong. I cannot phrase this question any more simply. Sometimes, you know, we tweak questions to make them simpler, more explicative. I cannot make this any simpler. Tell us what you do to green the maintenance garage. Do not talk about vehicles here. This is not the Green Fleet Contest. Talk about your maintenance garage. And we'll go through some of the things about a maintenance garage a little later, some examples. Recycling. This section is also extremely important. As a piece of advice from a common sense point of view, think how your efforts affect the environment and make the world a better place. This is why we're recycling, right? We want to make the world a better place. Think about how that is done in your organization. And of course, statistics are very helpful: pounds, gallons, truckloads, whatever you have. And if you don't have the information, you know, maybe reach out to another department. Maybe they have it. And you can also talk about, you know, how your program evolved and the start date. It's very interesting to us to see, you know, where you started and where you've ended up. Number four, procurement. If you have a green procurement policy, tell us the name of the policy and what it covers, right? You can just even, a lot of people cut and paste that part, which is fine. If you don't have a green procurement policy, tell us what environmentally friendly purchasing efforts you've undertaken. You know, give some examples. What did you buy? What did you do? Maybe replaced some toxic product with some, for example, bio-based product. There's a perfect answer right there. You know, here's a place to talk about the tires, lubricants, cleaning supplies, and so forth, of how you purchase them. Okay, Heather. Facilities. This is a good opportunity to add substance. I want to make this very clear. If you have an old facility and have not greened it due to financial constraints, just explain that. We don't expect everybody to have a superstar brand new facility. Just tell us what you did. Enumerate your improvements and quantify where you're able, you know, your energy savings or, you know, decreases in things that you've used if you've made changes. And again, ask other departments for data. We don't expect you as the fleet managers to have all this information at your fingertips. Get some help with this. This is going to be the other best advice I give you. Get some help with that. And then if you do it for a few years, everybody's like, oh yeah, we have to get that info together again. Innovative approaches. If you've done something innovative, great. Otherwise, this section is really meant to gain best practices to share. This is the place where we find out a lot of info that you're going to hear about in a little bit that will help you with ideas in your own fleet. Again, don't talk about vehicles here. You can talk about electric vehicle chargers here and explain briefly what you've done as it affects your maintenance garage, but don't go into a whole thing about, you know, your fleet here. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the garage. Also, if you've had a problem and you solved it, you know, put that in, put some statistics. Okay, special events, community outreach. This part's really important. It's similar to the Green Fleet contest question. If you've had an event or participated in a community event, let us know. Do you mentor trainees? Do you have high school or trade school interns? Cooperative efforts with other organizations. We love, love, love these type of things because we've learned from people like Al Curtis at Cobb County how important mentoring, cooperative efforts, supporting trade schools, bringing up the next generation, that's so important. So we want to know about that. Thanks, Heather. You and your staff, this part can be very simple. Make it simple but explanatory. Individual efforts. Sometimes there's one person in the organization who's very, very inspired to do something environmentally friendly. Tell us about that. Any motivating activities you do, inclusion in team efforts, and again, examples never hurt. Your greatest challenge, the judging panel response to honesty. This is something that I find the most interesting part. Don't think you have to impress us. Just tell a story. Give an example of an outcome or something that you're still trying to do. You learn so much about fleets from this question, and I think that's what really helps to build relationships amongst, you know, all of us as fleet professionals. And then finally, feedback. This is for your suggestions. We do alter the contest based upon your feedback and your requests. It's not a scoring question. And I was asked to describe how we score. As I said, it's a multi-judge panel. We score on a scale of 100 points. We have flexibility for judges to use their own point designation. I, as the chief judge, do not dictate how many points to give to each exact tiny little part of this contest. We're all superior fleet professionals who we have on our judging team. So that's why our judges are so important and our volunteer aspect is so important. We bring this vast experience. And, you know, we generally agree. If we disagree about things, we discuss. It's not supposed to be a carbon copy of each other. That's what I always tell new judges. We're not carbon copies of each other. We're looking at the Green Garage efforts as a full picture. Everything counts. Having a perfect facility may not provide enough points to win if you've not filled out the other questions well. That is very, very important to realize. We really want to see what efforts you've undertaken. Example, now with these maintenance facility practices, chemical materials inventory, maybe you look at all the chemicals you're using and you say, well, hey, we've had this stuff in the closet since 1977. Like, do we really need this? This is a part of an inventory. We can always answer questions about that going forward. A comprehensive and above, that's fine. So, sorry. Comprehensive and above average recycling efforts, like I said, really tell us about that. Your outreach and community connections, and again, your innovative and interesting approaches. So to summarize on our next slide, don't be wordy, just tell your story. So thank you for everybody who's on the webinar and all of you who have applied for the contest. And of course, our contest founder, Tom Johnson. God rest his soul in heaven. We think of Tom very, very often. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, leading off, telling their stories is going to be Cobb County with Chris Marcus. Chris, all yours.
All right. Thank you very much, Rick. My name is Chris Marcus. I'm the fleet maintenance supervisor for Cobb County, Georgia. Currently overseeing our car and light duty shop, our heavy duty truck shop, and our off-road equipment shop. To start off, I'll give you a little bit of how we operate at a glance, our vehicle-wise and everything, and then about our facility and some of the other things we've done. Currently, as of March 2024, which is right now, we manage 2,663 vehicles total. That includes our cars, light trucks, medium and heavy duty trucks, and our off-road equipment, which are trailers, construction equipment, and anything that's not a road vehicle. We currently, powered vehicles, 1,728 cars, 464 trucks, and 40 motorcycles, including a total of 63 electric vehicles. We have 4 electric police motorcycles, 158 hybrid vehicles total, which span through our sheriff's department, our police department, and our general departments, and then 39 other alternative fuel vehicles, which can include propane, absorbed natural gas, some vehicles that have electric PTOs, non-PTO vehicles. So that's the et cetera part of that. We run a very lean operation. We're one of the smaller departments in the county with a total of 35 fleet employees, 24 technicians currently across our fleet. That puts each technician responsible for about 111 vehicles per technician. So that is a pretty lean operation. We have 8 admin staff, including myself, and 2 service writers to run our entire operation. Countywide, we've got 54 charging stations for electric vehicles with a total of 77 charging ports, and ANG recharging station for the natural gas and propane dispensers. And we're currently in works with a company on converting some of our diesel trucks to run on 100% biodiesel. So that's our next step in our green fleet journey. Next slide. If you take a walk around our parking lot, you can see quite a few of the different vehicles we have. We started off back in 2013 with a fleet of Nissan Leafs, first electric vehicles, and a few of those vehicles are still operating in our fleet today, 11 to 12 years later. But we have anything from Leafs and Bolts up to most currently Ford Lightnings and Ford E-Transit vans. So that pretty much covers, our fleet vehicles and everything. So moving on to the next slide. One of the biggest challenges we have is getting people to understand new technologies. Countywide, we've put out an email and a learning program called Ask the EV Expert. We have an email address that's sent out to all our county employees. We provide education to our employees countywide, even outside of fleet, about the benefits of different alternative fuels, electric vehicles, the benefits it does to the county, green fleets, our sustainability. So we allow that, them to, call them questions. We put out a series of videos on YouTube and countywide through our internal website that offer training and education on different vehicles. We also work with one of the local community colleges, Chattahoochee Tech. We've helped in the last year provide input to starting their own electric vehicle training program, which they've started in the fall of this year. And we're on the advisory board for that. They do have a successful electric vehicle training program going on right now, and some of that is from our input. Next. Moving on, our facility, a couple things we're very proud of. Our car shop and light truck facility is less than 3 years old. That was open in 2021, a brand new from the ground up facility. We did quite a few green innovations in that, including LED lighting, controlled access to allow people not to come in after hours running excess lighting or power. Nearly everything in the building is automated, from sink faucets to lighting turning on to card control access. We have the oil cop system that precisely measures fluids being dispensed out. Our cleaners are bio-based, biodegradable cleaners whenever possible. And we look at any options to be able to save energy. Our older car shop facility was refurbished between 2022 and 2023 to expand our truck and equipment operations, because we pretty much ran out of space. But over the last 2 years, we've refurbished and repurposed that building. We've added doors across for a huge increase in ventilation, completely painted the inside bright colors, all white interior and bright gray floors to reduce our power usage for lighting. Even with the lights out during the day and the doors open, it's bright enough to work in, providing ample ventilation. Instead of adding full power lifts through the shop, we've added mobile column lifts that are battery rechargeable. Instead of using power every time they're switched on or plugged in, we charge them once a week, leave them plugged in to charge the batteries over the weekend, and they'll run approximately a week for our full shop operations. The same also, using LED lighting when needed, waste oil heaters that recycle used motor oil. And then probably our biggest achievement in the last year in 2023 is we have added a solar project to our building, which both returns power to the electric grid, offsets our electric vehicle charging usage, does provide backup power to our electric vehicle chargers, our fuel island, and our computer data room. Next. As I was speaking about before, one of the other big achievements we've done is changing the soy-based tires. We started off about 2 years ago, changing to the Goodyear Enforcer all-weather tires. Nearly all of our police vehicles and sheriff's office vehicles have transitioned to those tires as they originals have worn out. Our operators have reported, of course, better weather traction, better handling, and on average, about 7,000 to 8,000 miles better tire wear than what we were using previously. For the small price difference, the tires do run about $10 to $12 a piece more, but the reduced waste we get out of them, the extra mileage of better handling, it very well offsets that cost. We did also start at the end of 2023 transitioning over to the Goodyear Workhorse HT tires on our medium and heavy duty trucks where they're available. Currently, all of our senior service buses, our prisoner transport vans, animal services, and any of our trucks that are 3/4 and 1 ton that have the Workhorse tires available, we are transitioning over to those, and we're getting the same results on wet weather handling and traction with them. So we've had no complaints on them. The amount of soy oil used in them, of course, offsets everything else with that. Next. So pretty much most of the challenges we've gone through, getting people to have acceptance into converting to new technologies. Of course, the biggest thing with the fleet is the vehicles we use, and getting people to believe in, buy into new technologies, getting people to use new cleaners, getting away from what we've always used and the way we've always done things. But by implementing these countywide, we've been able to work with other resources such as local community colleges. We do work quite a bit with different organizations, clean cities. We've attended different events like the Ray Anderson Foundation events, which is on sustainability. Earth Day events, local, and we bring vehicles out, we bring our information basically to spread, our sustainability efforts, throughout the county. And that's all.
Great, Chris, thank you. Now, we appreciate Cobb County, how they've embraced technology and always looking to improve and get better. So that's why we have you guys on a regular basis. You're always doing something new. I believe you guys are certified with the American Lung Association.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We do currently have, I believe, 6 people that are the Biobased Academy certified for the American Lung Association. I missed
Right.
that part.
No, great. Well, no, thank you for all you guys doing, staying on the bleeding edge of things here. Next up is our number 2 Green Garage winner, City of Long Beach, and Ivan Ortega is gonna talk about how they do it and some of the things how they execute. Ivan, all yours, sir.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for having us as a participant here. We really appreciate it. I'm gonna go over some, next slide, please. Some of the general overviews. I'll give you a little snapshot of the city of Long Beach here in California. So our population here is 437,000 approximate. We have area, square footage in miles, 80 miles. So we cover the entire city. We have the second most populated city in Los Angeles County, so we're very busy. Being next to Los Angeles, being next to the port, we have a port as well. So and we have our port division, which is also we're separate but kind of same entity. So we have approximately 130 fleet employees that work here at Fleet Services. I think one of our aspects, the beauty of Long Beach is our divisions. So it's almost a turnkey fleet. We have our administration division. We have, of course, our maintenance division. We have our towing division. We have a fuel operations division. And all these divisions work very well. It's always a team effort where we amplify. We really like that that everybody could come together and work and accomplish these goals that I'm going to share with you today. Our fleet size is approximately 2,200 units. Our rolling stock is roughly 1,500 units. We support all the city departments, the police department, fire, airport, our public works, our energy resources, which is our gas department, our towing and lean sales division, and our environmental services, which includes refuse and also street sweeping. We have a variety of vehicles, heavy, light duty, medium duty, which utilize CNG, LNG, renewable diesel, propane, our conventional plug-in hybrids, and our fully electric vehicles. And our fleet is a 57% alternative fuel, and non-safety is approximately 72% alternative fuel. Next slide, please. For our recycling, we try to do as much as possible. We have a paperless maintenance shop. We use our fleet management system is M5 AssetWorks. So we went completely paperless for issuing work orders, assigning the mechanics, any type of work. It's all done computer-based. We have workstations on the floor, which the technicians receive all their work electronically. We've minimized a lot of the printers that individuals had per office. So we kind of went away with that. We have a centralized printer for each floor, for our maintenance shop, for our light shop, for our administration. And 75% of all our manual work is conducted electronically, from even avoiding the wet signatures, the not necessary. We go all e-signatures. We also have our heavy duty tires that we recycle. There's a picture there. Those bins get they get filled very fast. All those tires get some of our tires, our non-steer tires, will get recapped approximately up to 3 times within the life cycle of the tire, of course, of 5 years. We won't go over that. They get repurposed, they get shredded. They're used for schools, for the artificial turf, etc. And this is a collaboration with our environmental services department, which we work with that as well. They also do special pickups. So throughout the community, the city, they pick up illegal dumps of tires and they bring them here. We have a vendor that demounts the rim, goes into our scrap metal, and we recycle the tires. There's also, we do a lot of scrap metal as well for all the suspension parts, brake parts, you name it, we recycle that as well. We also have a drive-through car wash that has a capability for large vehicles. Our refuse trucks can actually drive through those. Our sweepers could also go through that as well. It's all reclaimed water, goes through a clarifier process, and it gets reused. So it's very helpful. We also have a composting program, again with collaboration with environmental services. They hold composting. Sorry, my light just went out. We have composting weekends, seminars where the community could come into our facility and they go over the composting, how to do it, etc. We have it in our break rooms. We see that waste basket. We also have it in an internal basket, but the smell kind of made us put it outside. So all the waste will go there. We have administration has it. We just purchased, I believe, 10 new refuse trucks. Will be working the compost program. We'll not have a push blade, but we'll now use the auger system. And also all this composting, the employees are able to use the compost, take it home for gardening, and also for the community. Even just the small things, for example, here, the coffee pods, we used to use the disposable coffee pods. We went away from it. We provided the reusable coffee pods and they're working out very well. Next slide. So for our procurement, we reduced overall aerosol usage by 75%. We went with this company's Spray On. It's, I believe they use the 5S management, restocking. They help us out a lot. All our hazardous chemical cabinets, they come in, they restock us, they provide all the nozzles. We're trying to get away as much as possible from aerosol. So both all the maintenance shops have these type of lubricants and so forth. Not to say that we still use some aerosol, but again, we're trying to reduce as much as possible. Another big thing that we've been doing is these hub filters. We reuse them on 25% of our fleet, down to safety vehicles, PD. We have not moved forward to the heavy equipment, but we have it on all our light and duty vehicles. These hub filters, you could actually purchase the machines to clean the filters. But what we do is when we get a amount of filters, the company will come in, pick them up, they'll clean it, and they'll bring it. It's a 1-for-1 exchange, and they've been working out very well. We've reduced the oil waste, and they're great. Again, just degreasers and lubricants, 90% were transitioned non-aerosol containers. Next slide, please. Overall facilities, we're meeting the net zero and Title 24 energy efficiency requirements. We did the thermoplastic coating on our roofs. We're getting a lot of complaints of cold, heat, etc. And there was a company that suggested doing this to our roofs. So it's kind of like a urethane that we sprayed on our roofs. It's white. It's a little dirty in the picture, but it does reflect. If you go up there, you need a pair of sunglasses because it just reflects a lot of the heat, and also the insulated around a lot of those areas. That prevents also just entry of cold, etc. It's also reduced the usage of our fans, which we have throughout our shop. Our swamp coolers that hook up to the water hose, and there's a fan running, the entire 8-10 hour shift. So that's helped us out a lot. Our whole facility pretty much is now LED lighting. We did our parking lot conversion. there was approximately 28 fixtures, I believe, and it's helped us out a lot in our savings. And we recently had our panels, we commissioned them, and also helps about 25% of our building electric needs. Plus, it provides shade for that's all the employee parking. Next slide, please. Our innovative approaches, we worked very hard on this is the bread and butter, of course, of everybody's fleet is our PM system. So we had a numerical system before, and we went to our alpha or ABC system. We had to go through the entire database through M5. We worked with OEM, make sure, of course, safety. But we extended our intervals, which of course, it was a cost savings on labor, on our waste. It's helped us out tremendously. And as we get these new vehicles, of course, they're electric vehicles. There's not too much to maintenance, but we keep a close eye on this. As the trends vary, we always correct those intervals. We've also, our computer settings, again, a small detail that we worked with, all our settings. If we're not active on our computers, we'll go into a sleep mode, and it prevents from, of course, energy savings from our computers just being all on throughout lunch, our breaks, etc. And also our faucet aerators. We had all our faucets, our internal public works plumbers came in and installed the aerators throughout all the maintenance shops, all our restrooms and kitchens, etc. Next slide, please. As for special events, in 2022-23, our fleet annual presentation at the Sustainable City Commission it went out very well. We host training throughout. We host training here and at other locations. Approximately 40 hours. We try to do all technicians 40 hours of training, from air brakes to electric vehicles to hybrids, etc. We have a very good training coordinator that helps us out a lot. We host our annual car show here. We showcase all our electric vehicles. We invite all the city departments. We've had the director here for the city, and they enjoy the ride and drive. We show them the new, we've had the Ford Lightning, the electric vehicle. We just received our new electric Silverados. So we want to showcase that, show the department their needs, that they don't need a F450. We go with the F150. And we attend we also go to a lot of job fairs. We're very close by to UTI, the Universal Technical Institute. We're getting some interns actually this month, and also Long Beach City College. We attend their job fairs as well. And just overall efforts, our sustainability, like I mentioned in the beginning, it's a team effort. It can't be done individually. Everybody has their subject matter experts somewhere, so we utilize it. We help each other out. Our acquisitions, it's a very good division. They analyze what's out there or the open market when vehicles are available. Our administrative staff, they help tremendously with the grant applications. Our maintenance division, we're out there talking to people, attending GFX, ACT Expos, always in collaboration, MEMA, etc., just to find out these new technologies, what's out there. Of course, our purchasing division has their hands full. They did approximately 53 million of annual expenses. And our overall Green Fleet program, just to sum it all up, we have 80 electric vehicles, 86 plug-in hybrids. We have 90 electric vehicle charging stations. We have 4 solar EV charging stations. And we're using Geotab as our telematics provider, close to 700 vehicles as we speak. And we're working right now with safety on Geotab. And that concludes my presentation.
Ivan, thank you. I mean, you demonstrated right there that it's a comprehensive approach and a process, continuous improvement. Don't leave any stone unturned. You know, every little bit adds up to have a bigger impact. So thank you and appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next up is our number one fleet for this year, County of Ventura, and Christopher Melton's gonna tell their story. Chris, we'll hand it over to you at this point.
Hi, thank you. And I do want to congratulate the other fleets on here. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. Anytime that you get counted up there with Cobb County and Long Beach, then you know you're doing something right. You know, and there's as we have come along, I've really challenged my staff to kind of look at what the leading fleets are doing, because we weren't on these lists a few years ago. You know, it took us a while to figure out what we needed to do to get up and running. And with that, I'm going to go through what our story kind of looked like. And it started with data. So I started here at the County of Ventura in 2018. And at the time, we're still using AssetWorks. And AssetWorks, it creates a lot of data, but it's not, some of that data is not the most user-friendly to be able to access. So we have a third-party solution called Flagship that's able to pull data out of AssetWorks. We can write SQL queries. We can then get into some of the data that we need, because we found that we have to measure and quantify everything. So if we want to get into green initiatives, the only way that I can actually sell those to our board is to show them what we're doing and how that green initiative is going to save. Because if it's going to end up costing money, if it's going to cost the taxpayers, then I have less likelihood that that is going to succeed. So for instance, when we look at data, what are we looking at? Well, one of the things that we look at is we measure every vehicle in AssetWorks. We measure it by class, we measure it by type of vehicle, we measure down to the specific vehicle makes and models, so that we can tell if a certain type of vehicle has better maintenance intervals than other ones, if they're lasting longer. We can find out that a certain vehicle, we know it's going to drop a transmission around this average mileage range. So then we can do extra things to be able to facilitate longer lifespans. Because one area of savings and of greening our fleet has been to increase our vehicle lifespan, so that we aren't just sending vehicles out to auction that still have life left on them, and that we're not buying new vehicles, because there is an emissions with purchasing new vehicles. So we also use a Lean Six Sigma approach to quantifying our savings. We go in and every year we have meetings about savings, whether it's big or small. We look at how can we be more efficient. And then we quantify that, and then we show what that savings may be. And that allows me to go to our board and say, hey, this is what we've done this year. These are the savings that we've quantified, and these are the ideas that we have that we may need financial support to move forward on. And then it also allows us to partner. We partner with other fleets. We're part of several organizations in Central California where we can help each other. We can talk about what our best practices are, and we partner with them. We partner with other agencies. If we have a cost savings for our healthcare agency, then we go to them and we say, hey, we think that you can be more efficient in your fleet by doing something. So for instance, with our sheriff's department, we used our data to look at what our maintenance intervals were, and we realized that our law enforcement vehicles, which have a high idle time being the one thing that kills their engines and their transmissions prematurely more than anything else, we actually increase their maintenance intervals to then buy them an extra year on their replacement cycle. And that year saved that 1 year of delayed procurement saved them something like $1.7 million a year. So they're saving over $10 million on a 10-year time span just by increasing their maintenance intervals to keep their vehicles in service longer. So then we take that data and then we use that to help us drive every decision that we make. So I'm going to go into like shop practices. You know, we wanted to look at using what the cost is of using our uniform and textile vendor to use disposable cloths instead of shop towels, or I'm sorry, to use shop towels instead of disposable cloths. So we're able to then quantify that and put that into service, because while there isn't an initial upfront cost, that savings over the year is going to be good. I talked about our maintenance intervals. We look at every vehicle to see what should the maintenance interval be on that. We do oil analysis, send oils off so that we can then get what the data is on those, so that we can fine tune what our maintenance intervals are going to be. And then also we use the data on our replacements. We looked at biodegradable solutions instead of using cleaning compounds. We found that we could use coconut husks as oil absorbents at the same cost of what we were using some of the other stuff. And so we were able to move to a greener alternative without having to increase any cost to the county. We looked at our recycling, and this is an area where partnering with other fleets in your region can help, because we knew that we needed to increase some of our recycling. Well, we ask other fleets, they have the same need. We can then go to our recycling partner and say, hey, this is all of the demand that you have for this particular recycling. What can you do to help us? And when we talk about recycling, we recycle all scrap metal, all aerosol cans, most of our parts, used fluids, electronic waste, all paper, all batteries. And then if there's anything that's a compost, we compost all of our organic waste. And we're able to do that by showing to our waste management partners, hey, this is what we can provide, and this is the volume you can get if you talk to all of these fleets. You know, we partnered with our procurement team when they were crafting a green procurement policy for the county. We were able to get in a couple of things. So we now procure only R99 renewable diesel, and it was at a very, I want to say at almost no cost to the county over the entire county. That goes by certain delivery locations, but it averaged out to be a no cost addition. So we were able to move to R99 very easily. And then we created a vehicle procurement policy where the first vehicle to be procured is going to be an electric vehicle. And let's say you don't have an electric vehicle charging station. Well, now we're looking at plug-in hybrids. Do you have access? You may not have a level 2 charging station, but do you have access to an exterior 120 volt plug? And if you don't, well, now we're going into hybrids. And then if you want to get to just an internal combustion engine, you have to jump through every one of these questions that goes on a sheet that's signed off by an agency director as to why your specific job and the specific job of that vehicle must be internal combustion. And so once it gets to the director level where they know they have to sign off on it and they have to get the CEO sign off, it does trick a lot of light bulbs as to, do we need to do that? Also, when it comes to procurement, we have a smallest vehicle possible procurement policy where you don't get to get a F450 or an F350. You've got to we started at a compact vehicle. Why can't a compact vehicle do your job? And we move up in class sizes that also has to be signed off to show that we have to downsize our fleet. You know, it's really funny how so many agencies think that they have to have a 1-ton truck to do the job, because when they got hired in the 90s, it was always a 1-ton truck. And then I showed them that the capacity of a 1/2-ton truck today is greater than what a 1-ton truck in the 90s was. So we're forcing all of our agencies to rethink how their fleet is, to be able to downsize everything so we get smaller and more efficient vehicles. And then with that, we have less maintenance that we need to do, because the heavier the vehicle, the greater the repair cost, the greater the fluids, the greater the wear and tear. So we want to reduce all of those. When we looked, when I talk about partnerships, we talked about our facility. So we partner with our energy management team. We partner with our facilities to find out what can we do. Well, there's savings involved in LED lighting, in motion sensors that we can put on our LED lighting for inside and outside. When our energy management team's looking to go green, we offered up the roof of our garage. Everybody out there, if you've got a garage, that's one of the largest roof spaces in your county that's just asking for solar panels. So, hey, put solar panels on our garage. By doing that, we put 157 kilowatt solar installation on top of our building, and our building's 100% renewable, because we offer up what our real estate is to be able to help with these green initiatives. I saw, you know, in one of the slides, actually, I think, you know, where they had solar panels over their parking lot. Well, if you've got a large parking lot and you've got the space and the height, offer it up to your facilities team. Hey, we'd like to put these in. If you're looking at this, use our facility, use our parking lots, because we have a lot of real estate that is available for you. We also looked at water. You know, being in California, water is always a consideration. So, you know, do we need to have grass? Do we need to have ornamental landscaping, or can we use xeriscaping throughout our facility with a reduced watering need? And then if your fleet has car washes, so every facility that we have where there's a car wash, we have a gray water recycling system from that facility that can then go into gray water tanks that then the car wash can use the gray water, and then you get into gray water recycling. So that was one area that, partnering with them, we showed what the savings was, because if you live somewhere where water is expensive, you can get to savings very quickly on a car wash. You know, in terms of innovative approaches, you know, I did talk a little bit about the data that we use to extend our sheriff's vehicles. By extending the lifespan of the vehicles, by using our data system, you know, we're able to get into significant cost savings. And by doing that, you know, the next step is, hey, we know we idle a lot. So now that we're looking at the sheriff's vehicles, let's look at hybrid sheriff vehicles. Let's look at vehicles that are designed to not have an engine running when you're idling. And the way I sell that is using the data. I know that it's about $1.7 million per year if we get one extra year of service on our black and whites. So I can then say, if we switch to hybrids, I think I can get you from 4 years to 5 years on that vehicle. So it's always kind of comes back to the data and trying to sell, you know, and in selling it, we don't do a hard sell. We like to plant a seed and let people think about it, and then come back to that as we do customer, as we do customer outreach. We like to just keep harping on these things until they start to think, hey, you know, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I can come around to that. We do quarterly meetings with every agency that has a vehicle. Every 3 months, I'm meeting with the agency head to let them know, hey, this is what your vehicle stats look like. This is what your vehicle fleet's doing. This is where we think that you can find savings. And we let them sit on it, because the savings go back into their budget. So as the budget years, you know, as things start to lean out, which in California right now they are, people start thinking back to that thing. Oh, Fleet said this, you know, at their quarterly meeting. Maybe we can find cost savings in some of these initiatives that they've been kind of talking about. And that way, my team, which is kind of small on the admin side, doesn't have to lead. We plant the seed and we walk away and we just let it grow, and we water it at these quarterly meetings. And then they come back to us and we're like, you know, we thought about that idea and we think that one might be good. We also do things like community outreach events. We partner with sustainability teams. We partner with our community environmental council. We partner with intragovernmental organizations and NGOs just to get our name out there. We do things like we donate vehicles for ride and drive events. You know, we'll take a couple of our Chevy Bolts out of our motor pool and let those go to a ride and drive event, or to if the sustainability team's doing an outreach event at a high school. Well, here, take some of our vehicles, take this and let us help to drive the message. You know, we worked with for an example, we worked with our community environmental council, who had a grant to create an EV blueprint for our county. And that blueprint didn't really cover fleet. It really wasn't about government fleet, but I wanted to have representation on there so that there was a fleet manager who could, you know, give some perspective of, this is what the private sector fleets are looking at, this is what the public sector fleets are working at, kind of use my experience in both to help craft that blueprint so that fleets weren't left out. Because, you know, when we get into a lot of the green initiatives, a lot of talks about public charging stations and public, and I'm like, look, we've got to also address private. You've got to address the private sector private fleets, and you have to address the public sector fleets, you know, so we want to be a partner with that. And part of the ways that we partner is through our staff. You know, we really do empower all of our staff to help become leaders in electrification. So what we've done is staff training. We brought in AC Delco. When we first started getting into electric vehicles, there's a risk with electric vehicles. You know, when you step up to 48-volt systems and above, there's a risk of electrification. So as a safety manager, I thought we need to bring in outside help to train us on these vehicles. So we brought in AC Delco, we paid for a training, and then we let all of our local fleets around us know, hey, we've got AC Delco coming in. If you want to get in on this training, come over to our fleet and get trained on it. So now we've got a whole staff of people trained on how to work on electric vehicles. We partner with our local community colleges at Ventura, Moore Park, and Oxnard. We have partnerships with them. So we do internships, and we give their staff real experience working on everything from electric vehicles all the way up to heavy equipment. So that way they can be better trained on it. And then ultimately, I mean, there's a little self-serving because we also get to look at hiring staff and look at hiring kids out of college who have the experience that we know that we want to hire. We looked at areas of, I'm trying to think of utilization. We wanted to create a little bit of pain on some of our agencies so that they have to be more efficient. And we do that by sharing our data with our CEO's office. We share our utilization data, and we tie utilization to cost, to specific vehicle costs, so that we know every vehicle in our county, how often it's used, what its mileage is, and what its cost per mile is, both in capital cost per mile, in variable cost per mile, and total cost per mile. And then we can weigh all of those so that if you have an underutilized vehicle in your fleet, then the CEO's office might ask, well, you've got a vehicle that costs over $10 per mile to operate. Why can't you use a more efficient option like a motor pool vehicle to be able to do that job? And it really puts a little pressure on the agencies to be more efficient and more lean. And we affect that just by sharing our data, creating reports, and then we craft those reports to our CEO. What is it you would like to see? And we make a report for them so that they can then look at what all of the agencies are doing and be able to challenge those leaders about the efficiencies of their agency. And then that also led to, a vehicle downsizing program where we can say, why do you need all of these vehicles? Why do we need such heavy vehicles? Because when we get into what our greatest challenge is, it's funding. And everybody shares this. Our greatest challenge is funding. It's how do we get money to do these green initiatives? And when we started this, it was very difficult. It was hard to get that funding because we're competing with public safety, we're competing with healthcare, we're competing with all of these other entities that have a lot more, they get better press. They're a lot more, they're out there. Nobody puts a plaque with all the politicians' names on the side of a vehicle or on a green initiative that Fleet's doing. So the way that I try to overcome that funding challenge is to use our data to show what our savings are so that we can then get buy-in from our politicians to where they want to fund what it is, the initiative that we're doing. So that's kind of what our story is. Like I said, we started not being in the awards when I started in 2018, and it's taken us several years to get to where we want to be. And where we got to where we want to be is really by using data to be able to craft our message and then to get what we want. And that concludes what I have to say.
Come on. I keep shutting myself on and off. Sorry. Chris, thank you. I really appreciate it. You had some really good points there. I love the one with the vehicles. It's not business as usual. You don't look at, oh, why do we do this? Well, that's the way we've always done it. You're looking at to do new things. You're using data. I mean, that's the old sayings. You can't manage what you don't measure, or how do you know what you're doing if you're not keeping score? Great on that one. You made the point, a lot of the bringing technology in, it requires some upfront cost, but you need to look long-term. What's the life cycle cost, long-term on these, making a switch over. Spend a few dollars today to save even more dollars tomorrow. You guys, you pay attention to what you're doing. You have involvement across the organization, and you have the policies and procedures that support your objectives and your goals. And it's as good as it gets. You're doing a great job out there.
Thank you.
We skipped in the beginning. We will field Q&A, and it is Q&A time. So anybody that's out there that has a question or comment, well, would love to hear from you. If not, we'll go back to our panelists. In fact, I'd like to have everybody put your smiling faces on there. We'll get all the talking heads on the screen. Like I said, if not, we'll let our panelists have any final comments or anything they want to reinforce, including Courtney and myself. I mean, you know, what we saw in the Green Garage, you know, you're looking at building efficiency and then, you know, reducing waste and efficient use of your resources. And there's just so many, like I said, you know, turn over every rock. There's so many ways from, you know, paper to your coffee pods, scrap metal tires, etc. And it's something that goes across your operations, across your organization. So at this point, we got crickets out there. Yeah, we
I
usually
would just
do.
like to say, wow. I mean, it was that good. I really think this is one of our best webinars we've done on the Green Garage contest. The content, guys, of the fleets was phenomenal.
Right.
Absolutely phenomenal. And I thought Ivan really, you know, had like the perfect presentation with everything. And Chris just like talked about it was like a TED Talk, I thought.
Yeah, you covered it all. No, it's great. I mean, and you know, like I said, you know, participating in these contests really helps you look at what you're doing if you're honest about it, and you definitely identify opportunities. And then, you know, I appreciate all the folks that applied, you know, across all the contests. We learned quite a bit, and it's good to see, you know, some of the stuff we talk about technology-wise out there, you know, being deployed successfully and having a significant impact. We do have, okay, we got a couple. Let's go. Got a few rolling in, so let's go ahead and turn it over to the audience. Oh, come on. You know, somebody dipping, you know, just getting started in electrification. Let's see, they got actually 20 new Nissan Leafs. Any recommendations on diagnostic tools and equipment out there?
I could speak a little bit to that. So we kind of mirrored a little bit of what the Toyota dealership was doing with the Prius, etc. All our technicians, when one of those vehicles is driven in, it's worked by one technician. So we have those kind of like those bollards with the straps that isolate that stall. He's the only one that could go in there. He disables the system. We have insulated tool kits for them. It's just like a, I don't know, 79 tool piece kit, all insulated. We got it through our vendor, Granger. I want to throw out vendors out there, but that's what we went through. We're also working with, we need a rescue charger kit for these hybrids. Some of our vehicles that are waiting to get outfitted, our police vehicles, they sit by our new hybrid interceptors. We've had problems starting them because they're waiting, just the demand, accidents, etc. So we need this rescue charger. It's a high voltage hybrid battery pack. And so we're ordering that as we speak as well. And again, like Christopher said, it's funding, it's money. Where are you going to get this money from? We're going through Rotunda. We get our rebates. We're a warranty shop, so for Ford and for Chevrolet. So we try our best to provide all the equipment, the gloves, make sure the shoes, etc. But we're going through those challenges as well. We're working on it. I know ACT had I'm sorry, not ACT. It was last year. GFX had some regulations for safety for vehicles that get into accidents with these batteries. You got to isolate the vehicle away from your shop. You can't have it in the shop. Possibility of explosion, etc. The clearances, the roof clearances, and so forth. So those I think are Long Beach, one of our greatest challenges, and of course implementation compliancy with CARB, ACF, etc.
Yeah, and one thing, Ivan just mentioned, and this is if you're out there and you're buying electric vehicles, it's really worth it to investigate, can you become a warranty repair facility for that manufacturer? Because if you can, that opens you up to all of the tools and the training that the dealership gets. So that's how we got ours. We're Ford and GM certified warranty repair facility. I'm gonna be honest, we don't do warranty repairs because the reimbursement rate's not worth it for me. I ship warranty out, but we are that warranty facility so that we can get access to that tool and training. Because if I'm going to work on a vehicle, or if I'm going to have my technicians work on a vehicle, I expect that they are trained to the level of the dealership. And so that's one area that I think is critical as you look at, as you're putting forth your strategy. You've got to look at what your procurement strategy is. And as you're purchasing these vehicles, you've got to say, is there a way that I can bring that in-house? Is there a way to bring in what the technicians at the dealerships, what they know, how do I get that into my shop?
Good. Another one regarding electrification. How do you make up the additional capital cost of electric vehicles? And, how are you getting the budget money to do it, and where's it from?
So I can answer for Ventura County. We passed that along to the purchasing agency. But it seems like, and it depends on what type of vehicle that it is. Certain vehicles cost a lot more, others aren't that much more because the price of internal combustion engines has also risen. And if you look, especially post-COVID, the availability of internal combustion engines has been hard to get, whereas electric vehicles have been more plentiful. And so we also use, through procurement, we'll go out to bid and we'll try to, hey, give us the best price we can get on a block. And we'll find dealerships that are looking to offload 30 bolts and they're able to give us a better price so that that cost increase isn't that much. But what we do is we charge a fixed rate and a variable rate, and we'll adjust both of those to try to make it the most advantageous for the purchasing agencies so that they are not hit with the capital cost all up front. We recover that cost throughout we do it depending on the type of vehicle. It's generally about an 8-year payback, so that by the time we get to the end of our 8 years, you've paid back the full cost of what that vehicle is, so that the agencies don't have to come up with it up front, because it's that upfront capital. You've got to, it's the largest hurdle, and it's right in front of you, the first hurdle to jump over, and it's the toughest one. So we just got creative to try to figure out ways to help them to get over that.
And I've tried to convince some of the government fleets to look at leasing to avoid that upfront capital cost. And we've seen some folks have actually gone that route. And that's another way around it. It also, you can, depending on how the market is, you can be strategic in terms of when you retire vehicles to, maybe not run it all the way to scrap, maximize its residual to turn over to a new vehicle. So I know Cobb County did that with their first batch of lease. They did a lease, and their lease price through Nissan was less than their fuel cost of the vehicles they replaced. So getting brand new vehicles with latest technology, they were actually putting money in their pockets. So, a question regarding the application deadline came in from someone that once one contest ends, they'll open the next one, and they'll be on NAFA's site. This one will open after the Green Garage, so it'll open in September sometime, with the deadline. When was it this year? Was it in November? Probably right before Thanksgiving. It's kind of a cycle, right after
Yeah,
Green
we try to,
Fleet Awards.
do the announcement so it doesn't conflict with the holidays.
Right.
Because it's a family of contests. It also includes the 100 Best Fleets
Right.
contest, which is open
100
now.
Best is it's open right now.
So after that'll be
Announcement at
the Green
NAFA.
Fleet contest. And
And
then
then
after
we'll
that will be
open-
the Green Garage contest. So
Right, we'll
yeah,
open-
I think it was Bradley that asked that question. So it'll be like
Yeah,
it was late September,
yeah.
early October.
There you go. Yeah, well, we'll give them the full rhythm. I mean, Green Garage is open now. That opens in January. Probably closing soon because they need to do the judging for the contest. Once that one's done, we open up the Green Fleet Awards, and that closes in July, I believe, to be announced in August at the Sustainable Fleet Technology Conference.
Right, that's
And after that, we
Heather's
open up
event
the
at
Green
NC
Garage.
State, which will be in Durham.
Yeah.
It's a lot of volunteer work.
Mhm. So, this one, it's talking about, I guess, fleet right sizing. What techniques or programs are best scaled down for a much? Oh, hold it. No, this is actually one of a smaller fleet asking this.
Read
What
the
techniques or
question.
programs
See?
would best
See? Read
scale
the
down for
question.
a smaller fleet? So, any recommendations on somebody that doesn't have all the resources and staff, I guess?
I'll answer a little bit of this one. Most of the programs we use could probably work for about any size fleet. Apart from buying, just large number of vehicles or heavily investing in electric or, other types of vehicles, the little things, changing tires, more environmentally friendly tires, different types of cleaners, small changes to the buildings, lighting, ventilation, things like that, can be done on any scale. I think what Chris and Ivan were talking about before, especially right sizing the fleets, looking at what you need versus what you want. Like they were talking earlier about, replacing a 1-ton truck now with a 1/2-ton truck that has a capability of something 30 years ago. You don't have to spend all your money on the biggest truck to run around town empty. Downsize those a little bit to the capacities of them. You can buy more vehicles. And like I said, mostly the smaller things, just, the changes of, tires, working with good vendors on, getting environmentally friendly, biodegradable chemicals, recycling programs, things such as that. And that can be done at any scale from 50 vehicles to 5,000 vehicles. And that, pretty much covers across the board that way.
Yeah, Chris, no, I agree. I mean, a lot of this stuff is fully transferable, recycling, using bio-based cleaners and solvents, using synthetics, extending service life. With the green fleet, we tell, the fleets, the small guys, do what you can do, start where you can, and, build the momentum and just keep looking for opportunities.
Yeah, I'd add, I've ran various fleets. when I was the fleet manager for the city of New Orleans, we didn't even have a fleet management system. We still ran off of paper tickets and large file cabinets. And one of the biggest game changers is to get a fleet management system with exportable data. Being able to look at your data is so important because if it goes into a file cabinet, you never capture that. You never know what it is that you're actually missing. And that was, I don't say it has to be Asset Works. I get I remember what it's like to be a small budget fleet manager where you're constantly chasing the dollar, but there's other ones such as Faster. There's some other fleet management systems out there that are not as expensive. And by using those and being able to export your data, once you have those, depending on how you export it, either be a DB2 table or into Excel, however it exports, you can then, even if you're not using it, just store it. Because in a year or 2 years, you might have an idea and say, hey, let's look at what our data's been. And the table that falls into. And then you maybe get an intern to come in and say, hey, your job for the summer is this. Use this data and tell us where we can make gains and efficiencies and whatnot. So for us, really, it's just been having data to be able to make decisions is the first step for everything. And then that goes into these things. It's like I talked about, going from disposable paper products into reusable towels. Well, we could then we can create data and be able to present that, so even the small things, if you can use the data on it, then that's going to help you to get your initiative over the finish line.
Make the business case. There you go.
I could piggyback on what Christopher is saying. We have many push reports that we get every morning. We utilize AssetWorks as much as we can. We dedicated an administrative analyst. She's very well with Crystal, with ad hoc reports. And I mean, just for our metrics, our review, which we have, I believe I think it's a biweekly meeting with all managers and staff. Just a snapshot of what we use is our overtime versus our budget, our direct and indirect labor, our productivity versus our billable hours, schedule versus unscheduled hours, on-time PM success, repair turnaround time, asset availability, and warranty success. Those are just some of our metrics that we use for Long Beach.
Great. Thank you. We got one more quick one that came in. It was asking, now, I guess it's for Cobb County. You guys you're using biodiesel, correct?
We're looking into it right now.
Looking into it, okay.
Of course, for the our energy savings for the green fleet, but basically right now with even with us costing the cost of diesel being close to $4 a gallon,
Right.
we've been able to look into biodiesel at nearly, I believe, almost half the cost of it. Looking into transitioning our vehicles over to it. The company we're working with has given us the benefits of drivability, obviously the fuel save or the money savings with it, but transitioning over, being able to start up the truck on diesel and then switch over to biodiesel, and a lot of it's going to be the availability and mostly the cost of what we're spending right now, per gallon of diesel. Even being a government fleet, we're spending a tremendous amount of diesel every year, and looking at alternatives to diesel trucks. The cost of, we've looked at electric, heavy duty trucks before. Some of the technology is not there yet. The cost of them going from $100,000 chassis to a $300,000 to $350,000 chassis is just not possible at this point. So we're looking at other ways to improve our heavy duty maintenance fleet, and that's a lot of that right there.
Yeah, in Ventura County, we are almost 100% renewable diesel. We started when it was R95. But really what drove the decision was the availability. Once we had vendors where it was available, we could then quantify what the cost increase was versus the greenhouse gas savings. And I could then take that to our board and say, hey, is this something that you support? And they did. So then we were able to make the changes. And in the beginning, it was slow. It took us a while to sell fire on it because, public safety is always going to be slow because they know they've got a proven system. So why make the change that could impact the operation? So we showed them, we did tests. We did, multiple tests. We created data where we could show over time, this is how good renewable diesel works. And we found that the renewable diesel, there was no drop in performance. And it burns a little cleaner. We had less particulate filter failures. We were able to show what certain maintenance savings were. And then as in Southern California, we do get a little bit of a benefit because there's a lot of green initiatives here. So we're kind of at the forefront of some of these. So the costs are actually now comparable with hydrocarbon diesel, right? The costs are comparable. So then it becomes a no-brainer. But if the product's available, if the demand follows, the cost for the product will reduce. And then over time, if you can prove to your customers that this is a good product, then as they use it more and more, then the costs fall, and then it's just kind of like a snowball effect.
Yeah, and this follow on to wrap up this biodiesel, renewable diesel. Cobb County, you're going bio. The question is, why didn't you look at renewable? I think I know the answer to that. It's the availability issue.
Right.
And we've had Clean Fuels Alliance America and their supporting partners on multiple times over the years. And was a lot of people interested west of the Rockies, but most of that renewable diesel is out on the West Coast due to the incentives out there. It's a business decision. There is more capacity coming online. It takes some time because it's more of a refinery process. So it's expensive facilities. And we hope as time goes on, the availability goes. We've had Port Authority had some, Charlotte got a couple of shipments of renewable diesel, but not really on a consistent basis. The only one I knew, and I don't know if they're still doing it, was Disney Universal. They were getting renewable diesel fairly consistently here on the East Coast. So it's kind of
I think you're going to be hearing some big announcements about it from New York City. They always like to make a big announcement at their fleet show in May.
Okay, well, good.
Stay tuned.
Right. Well, we're well at time. I usually do these at 75 minutes. You guys build it as 90 and we are at 90 minutes. So I'd like to thank everybody, our audience for joining us, and our panelists did a great job. Keep up the good work, and we'll see everybody at the next one and at some of the events we have over the year. So good day all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.